Hi honeys, it's Emmy. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Emmy. I'm a nutritionist and the creator of the Slim on Starch program. So if you are interested if you are interested in working with me one-on-one, actually 3-on-1 with myself, Coach Kiki and Coach Rachel, then go ahead and click the link in the down bar or go to healthyemmy.org so that we can get that started for you. Also, if you have not yet, make sure that you hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you can be a healthy honey and be notified every time we're coming out with the freshest news about weight loss on a plant-based diet. So I am in a different environment right now. I am currently at my aunt's house because I'm taking care of my cousin's dog, right, Dutchie? Woo! And so I'm coming at you live, and let me tell you, I had grand plans for today, and then on the way over here I actually experienced brake failure and got in a really bad car accident. It was terrifying, actually. I pressed the brakes, the car did not stop, and right into a Mack truck, a parked Mack truck. So I'm carless now. My car is down at the shop to A, get the brakes fixed, and to also get body work because unfortunately there was damage to the car. But I'm truly so grateful that I hit a car and not a person. I honestly, like, when I was waiting for the police to come, I was like having flashbacks of hitting the car, but thinking, oh my God, what if it was a person that I hit? And I'm just truly so grateful that I did not hit a person. Nobody was in the car that I hit, so nobody was hurt. I wasn't hurt, which is awesome too, but truly just so grateful that I hit a car and not a person. Anyway, here we are to do today's video, which is all about healthy habits and their little healthy habit hacks, because I was speaking with one of my clients, and this is actually the first tip that I'm going to share with you guys, and I just thought to myself, oh my goodness, I have all these little hacks that some of them I use myself, some of them I don't use, but I see other people using them and I suggest other people use them, and it works really well for them. And so I wanted to make a video of a bunch of healthy hacks that you guys might be interested in using. So let's go ahead and let's get into my top healthy hacks. What I would love is, while you're listening to these tips, go ahead and leave a comment with which one is your favorite. All right, hack number 1. This is the hack that when I was saying it to my client, this is the one that made me think, oh my gosh, I should make a whole video about this. So my client said to me, I have this horrible habit of snacking on the food that I'm eating while I'm trying to make my meal, and by the time that I've made the meal is already gone because I've just been eating it the entire time. And so this is the tip that I gave to her, and this is one that I use myself, is to, when you are making your dinner, when you're making your meal for yourself, pour yourself a glass of water or make yourself a cup of tea, and instead of snacking on the food that you're eating the whole time, and then when it's time for dinner you have an empty plate because you've been eating it the whole time, you will put your hand to the glass of water or to the tea and you can sip on that instead, which is also good in terms of digestion, because I'm not huge on this and I'm not one of these people that gets lost in the sauce, but it is more beneficial for you to drink before you have your meal so that your digestive enzymes, when you're actually eating the meal, aren't diluted and they can better digest the food. So it is better to drink a glass of water before you have the meal for digestion, and also because it helps you get your hunger in check. A lot of times when you're hungry, you're actually thirsty. So by having that glass of water before you have your meal, you're able to better regulate your hunger signals as well. So if you find that you're snacking while you're making your meals, go ahead and drink while you're having your meals instead of snacking. Hack number 2 has to do with the grocery store, and this is like a double-headed hack. We have 2 things here. The first is to always eat before you go, because if you go to the grocery store hungry, honey, you are setting yourself up for buying the things that you don't want to be eating. So make sure that you eat before you go to the grocery store, and also make a list and stick to the list. You go, you've eaten, you're fueled, you have your list, you get what you need, and you get the heck out of there. Because if you go while you're hungry, honey, and those grocery stores, they are very smart. You know what they do is they purposefully, next to the strawberries, they'll put the whipped cream in the shortcake. You've gone for strawberries and now you have yourself a strawberry shortcake. So you have to make sure that you go and you are invincible. If you go hungry and without a list, you are so vulnerable to picking out things that you don't want to pick out. And then once it's in your house, it's in your mouth. So make sure that you eat before going to the grocery store and that you have your list and you stick to it. Oh, and by the way, if you need a grocery list, I got you, honey. I'll give you my grocery list. Click the link in the down bar and you can get my grocery list to bring to the store. Tip number 3 is one that I wanted to show you that I actually do. I'm wearing my workout clothes right now, and guess what, guys? These are my pajamas. So hack number 3 is to sleep in your workout clothes so that when you get up the next morning, you are ready to go and you don't have to get out of your comfy jammies and get into your workout clothes. I don't even own pajamas. I honestly don't own pajamas because I just wear my workout clothes to bed every night. I wear my running clothes so that I can just get up the next day and get right to it. So that is the next hack, to sleep in your running clothes, or not your running clothes, your workout clothes. Hack number 4 seems so silly to say, but we constantly have to remind ourselves of this. Eat when you are hungry. Don't eat according to the clock. I so often find that people will say, oh, it's 10 a.m., it's 3 p.m., it's not a technical meal time, so I can only have a snack right now, or I should just wait until it's meal time. But if you don't eat when you're hungry, you're not going to stop when you're full. So in order to ensure that you're eating to the point of satiation, you're not eating past the point of fullness, and you're not going to binge eat, you have to eat when you're hungry. Your body is so smart. Our bodies are so smart, and they would never steer us wrong in terms of hunger. And when we are feeding our bodies with a whole foods plant-based diet, our bodies are very, very in tune with what they need. And so long as you're feeding it with these healthy foods, you can go by simply what your body is telling you. And watching the clock, it never ends up well, because you end up eating when you're not hungry because it's time to eat, and then you deny yourself of food when you truly are hungry because it's not time to eat. When is it truly time to eat? When your body says that it's time to eat. Hack number 5 is to cook. That was a 5. Hack number 5 is to always cook for 2. So what do I mean by this? I mean that when you are making a meal for yourself, make enough for you to have leftovers. Because if you get into the habit of doing this, then you'll never be in the position where you are without food. So every time that you make dinner for yourself, make it so that you'll have leftovers for lunch the next day. And when you get into this habit, you'll get into the habit so that you'll never have to be in a position where, oh my God, I'm hungry and there's nothing in the fridge. So, you know, more so than cooking for 2, cook for 3, cook for 4. If you don't want to get into the whole batch cooking thing because you really enjoy making dinner at night, I know a lot of people, myself included, making dinner is like the wind down from the end of the day, and it's a part of people's days that they don't like to take away through meal prep. So I say, no problem. Why don't we just make it so that every time you cook your dinner, you're also cooking enough to have for the next day, just in case you're not able to cook the next day as well. Tip number... My hand just got caught here and Dutchie did not like it. Dutchie, do you see a puppy? I can't see him because he's... Dutchie! Dutchie! Does he see a puppy? What is going on? We're back. Can you hear him growling? It must be squirrels because I don't see any puppies, but he is like on the prowl for something. Dutchie? Okay, tip number 6 is if you are going to a social event and there's gonna be food there that you don't want to eat, you've got to make sure that you not only eat before, but also you have food ready for yourself for after. Even if you think you're not gonna be hungry after, even if you eat before, he is growling. I hope you can't hear it. Dutchie! You've got to make sure that you have food ready for after, even if you're not hungry, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna be at that event and you're gonna see like the buffalo wings that I don't even like buffalo, like, oh, I don't even know why I said that. I never was like a buffalo wing person, but I just thought of that for some reason. But you're gonna see the cupcakes, the chips, the nachos, the pigs in a blanket, all that stuff that you might want to eat. And if you're able to say to yourself, there's delicious food waiting for me at home and I'm gonna eat that delicious food when I get home, that's gonna make it so much easier for you to not say no to the food, but to say, I'm replacing this food with something else. Remember, you're not denying yourself of food. You're allowed to eat, you're just changing what that food is, and you're delaying because you're gonna eat it in a couple of hours. So having food ready for after, when you go to a social event that you know is gonna have tempting food, it's so great because you're able to say to yourself, I have food waiting for me at home, so it's okay if I say no to that right now because I'm gonna say yes to this in a couple of hours. Tip number 7 is one of my top tips for thriving on this lifestyle, and it is to pre-bake your sweet potatoes honey. At the beginning of the week, you take a bunch of sweet potatoes, all right? This is what we're gonna do. Get a pen, get a paper, write this down. Preheat your oven to 400-ish degrees Fahrenheit. What would I do when I was in Australia? I couldn't tell you what I put them at when I was in Australia in Celsius because my oven did not have temperatures on it. I just guessed, but it worked because sweet potatoes are very forgiving. You take your sweet potatoes, you wash them, you wrap them in tin foil. I know that a lot of people are against tin foil, but let's not get lost in the sauce. And if tin foil is what kills me, then make sure to put it on my gravestone, honestly. And I know people are very passionate about tin foil. So am I, because it makes really good sweet potatoes. So if you dislike tinfoil, keep it to yourself, okay? I know it's not the most ideal thing in the world, but I'm okay using it for now at least. So anyway, you take your sweet potatoes, you wash them, you wrap them very tightly in tin foil, and then you put them in the oven for about an hour and a half. If you have Hawaiian sweet potatoes, I put them in there for like 2.5 hours, and then they get so gooey. But then you take them out of the tin foil. Make sure you take them out of the tin foil. You shouldn't keep them in the tin foil. That is not good. You take them out of the tin foil. You can put those in the fridge and they'll last for days, and then you can eat them cold or you can pop it in the microwave for under a minute and you have yourself the most delicious thing in the world. This is going to save your life. When you're having those sweets cravings, knowing that that is in your fridge and you can put it in the microwave for 45 seconds and throw some cinnamon on top, it's going to change your life. And how long does it take for you to prep this? 2 seconds. You just have to wash the potato, wrap it in tin foil, and put it in the oven. So top tip for making sure that when those sweet cravings come, that didn't come out right. When those sweets cravings come, you're on it, honey. Tip number 8, that's 9. Tip number 8 is to utilize the freezer. The freezer does not get enough love. People don't realize how incredible the freezer is. You can batch cook recipes and people will say, oh, Emmy, like my stuff's going bad. Honey, use that freezer. You can chop up a bunch of vegetables and put them in the freezer and they'll stay in there for a long time. You can make a bunch of my chili and put that in the freezer and it could stay in there for months. Utilize the freezer. You know, if your bananas are about to go bad, peel them and put them in the freezer. And then whenever you need your banana for your oatmeal, there it is, honey. Tip number 9 is to have an if-then statement. So an if-then statement is something that you use when you want to binge out on a certain food. If I want to binge on this food, then I will blank. So when you want to binge out on a certain food or cheat on your diet, whatever it is, this is your brain looking for a dopamine hit. Dopamine is that feel-good chemical, and it's a motivation chemical. It's what motivates us to do things, and it feels good. And super high-calorie junky foods give us a really big dopamine hit. They make our brain feel really good. So the bad news is that that's something that we can always turn to. The good news is that there are so many activities that also give us a dopamine hit that aren't related to food. So let's think about those other activities that we can engage in that make us feel amazing. If I want to binge out on cheesecake, never was a cheesecake person. Cheese in general just skeeves me out. But anyway, if I want to binge out on cheesecake, let's say that that's like your go-to, then I will, and then I want you to write down things you're going to do instead. Call a friend, go on a walk, listen to a podcast, listen to comedy. Comedy is so underrated. You can pull up comedy on Netflix, you can pull it up on Spotify. There's a comedy show section. I will read to my kids, I will go for a run, I will do yoga, I will do meditation. Write down all of these things that you can do to make yourself have that feel-good feeling, and also make yourself a cup of tea. I find that this is a great grounding mechanism to just hold on to this warm beverage. And that's something that you can use if you're feeling like you want to binge. And then my next and last tip is to take this one day at a time. We often get so overwhelmed. We're like, I don't know if I can do this for the rest of my life. Am I saying I'm never gonna have a cupcake ever again? I never say that. I never say I'm never gonna eat a certain food again, except for animal products. I'm vegan for life, honey. Never eaten animal products again, but I will never say, oh, I will never eat an Oreo again. Oreos are vegan, but I mean, I don't plan on having any in the near future, but that's besides the point, because all I can do is focus on today. Today, I'm not having Oreos. Maybe I'll have them tomorrow. Maybe I'll have them the next day, but all we have is today, and all I can do is control what I'm gonna do today. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed by what you're gonna do down the line. Just focus on today. The overwhelm is what makes us say screw it. When we look into the future, we get anxious, and that's what triggers that what the hell effect, because we're looking into the future, but the future doesn't exist. We never have the future. All we have is right now. All we have is today. So take this one day at a time. Let me know what your favorite tip was in the comments. Go ahead and leave a comment, and I can't wait to read it. I love you, honeys, and I'll see you in my next video. Mwah. Woo!